Hello, my name is Alicia Shapiro with AiNews.com, and welcome to another episode of our Driving Tomorrow Conversations with Industry Leaders, where we explore the latest developments and newest innovations in the world of artificial intelligence. Today, I'm excited to speak with Isar Meitis, the CEO of Multiplai, an expert in AI implementation and a veteran leader in business transformation. With a wealth of experience spanning B2B, B2C, defense, and e-commerce, Isar brings a unique perspective to the field of AI, combining his expertise in business strategy with a deep understanding of AI's practical applications. Multiply is empowering businesses to unlock AI's full potential through tailored education, consulting, and custom solutions designed to drive efficiency and growth. In addition to leading Multiply, Isar hosts the Leveraging AI podcast, where he shares insights and practical tips for implementing AI effectively. And his mission is clear: to help business leaders harness AI's transformative power beyond the buzzwords. In today's interview, we'll explore how Multiply's approach is redefining AI implementation for diverse industries, the importance of change management, and his take on common misconceptions about AI. Thank you for joining us today, Isar.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this. These are some of my favorite topics, so happy to be here.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's great to have you here. So, Multiply offers various levels of AI education and implementation support. What factors do you consider when assessing a company's AI readiness, and how do you determine the most effective starting point for their journey?
So, whether I do this or companies do it themselves based on whatever they learn from me or from others, I always start with three different levels of assessments to look on what's the impact of the business and what should they do. So, the three assessments, the first one is a strategic assessment,
Hmm.
which means how AI is going to impact your company, how it's going to impact your industry, how it's going to impact your niche. Meaning, the clients that you have right now, what kind of needs do they have right now that you're serving that are going to be either eroded or completely disappear
Yeah.
because they have access to AI, right? So
Hmm.
that's number one. Number two on the strategic side is really more on the opportunity side of things. So,
Okay.
what kind of new services or products can you offer your existing clients that
Hmm.
you cannot offer them right now because the ROI is just not there? Offer
Right.
it to them because you have access to AI. And the third question on the strategic side is what kind of new clients can you now serve effectively that you couldn't before because you have access to AI? So this is on the strategic side. On the tactical side, there are two separate assessments you do. One is just find low hanging fruits, right? So on the strategy side, because you now know, you can figure out what kind of infrastructure, what kind of new direction for the business you need, what kind of investment you need to come up with in order to align your business with this new future and the needs of your clients and potential clients. But on the tactical level, there's a lot of things you can start doing today, literally
Mm.
today, and start gaining benefits and low hanging fruit. So that's another assessment that you do. And then the third assessment that ties back to your question on how do you train people and where do you start is a skill and knowledge gap assessment. And you do this at all the different levels of the organization. So if depending on the size of the company, you usually have a board. So how much does the board understand about AI? Do they need to understand? Probably yes, because if you're going to ask them for an investment or a change in the direction, they need to understand why. So you need to
Right.
train the board, you need to train your executive team, and then you need to train middle management and then the employees. And each and every one of them comes with a different set of things you need to train them on. But you start with really an assessment of where they are in the journey. Do they
Yeah.
know nothing? Are they basic users? Like, okay, I've used ChatGPT 20 times, but I don't really know how to use it in the business.
Yeah.
Uh, are they advanced users? Like they do a lot of stuff? Or are they experts? Do they actually have like systems, processes very well defined and so on? And you will find out kind of like where people lie. And then you can start tailoring the training based on everything you found out with these assessments. That was a very long answer. I hope it answered the question though.
Yeah. But it's a good synopsis of what businesses do need to think about, because there is a technical side and then there is a strategic side. So,
Yeah.
no, it's good to have both approaches for sure, I imagine. Hmm.
It's very much a top down and a bottom up at the same time. You have to think from the leadership team of what will this do to our industry? What will this do to our business? And start preparing because it
Mhm.
might have extreme implications, good or
Right.
bad. And at the same time, you can start gaining immediate benefits that require very little capital investment and some more training investment. And I'm sure we're going to dive into that afterwards.
Great. And on your Leveraging AI podcast, you provide practical insights for AI adoption. What are some common misconceptions you've seen businesses have about implementing AI successfully?
Interesting. So the podcast really has two episodes every week. One of them is I try to find the best practitioners in the world on how to do specific business use cases with AI. And
Hmm.
I also teach courses and I also do workshops for companies. I also do consulting and implementation for companies. And so,
Great.
as far as misconceptions, many of them are extreme on both sides of the spectrum. And I'll explain what I mean.
Okay.
Some people think it's magic in a box. Like to
Yeah.
me, that's the biggest misconception. Like
Yeah.
they think that as soon as they're going to do something with AI, it's going to solve that particular problem and it's going to be over and it's going to take them because they heard people say, okay, what used to take me 3 weeks now takes me 35 minutes. And
Right.
they expect the first 5 minutes to be solving a problem that they usually do in 3 days because that's what everybody tells them. The
Hmm.
reality is, A, it's true. You can do stuff that takes weeks in minutes or hours.
Hmm.
To get there for your use case, your business, your technology, your data, your people, your process, your level of security, it will take time. You will
Hmm.
have to take what other people tell you, learn how to implement it, and experiment for a while. And the biggest misconception is it's going to happen the first time you try it. And I speak to
Right.
so many people who, well, I tried it for 20 minutes, it was shit. And I'm like, this is not ready yet. And I stopped. And it's
Right.
true. Like in many cases, and I'll say something about myself. I've been doing this professionally as my full-time job for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
And I
Hmm.
still do stuff for the first time, and it takes me 4 hours before I figure it out.
Yes.
Most people will quit after 20 minutes because in your head, like the thing I was trying to do takes me 20 minutes. I just spent 20 minutes trying to do it with AI and I failed. So I might
Hmm.
as well just do the thing. The reality is, you do that 20 minutes every day or every week or every other week.
Yeah.
And if you solve it in 4 hours, you never have to ever do it again. And so
Right.
the ROI on a quarter or a year is incredibly good, but you have to be committed to figuring this out. So this is the number one misconception, is that it's magic in a box. Number
Yes.
two is the flip side of that. A lot of people think it's really, really hard. Like
Mm.
to get started, you need IT and you need infrastructure and you need investments and you need security. And I'm like, no, there's so many use cases who touch absolutely zero of your critical infrastructure, absolutely zero of proprietary or secretive or problematic data. And you can
Hmm.
start benefiting from it tomorrow with Claude or ChatGPT, which costs $20 a month.
Exactly.
There's the flip side, right? The people are like, oh my God, like how do I? No, just start with small things that you can do
Yeah.
almost for free and will give you a lot of value.
Well, that would
Um,
be good with AI. Could be overwhelming for people too. And so if they just start small with ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, then they can progress as they feel more comfortable.
Absolutely. Like getting your heads dirty and learning yourself and figuring out what you're doing is a very big deal. Another one is it's going to take our jobs. So we better
Oh
not
yeah.
learn how to do this because then we'll become irrelevant, which in the bigger picture might be true
Hmm.
because within the next 5 years, these tools will learn how to do most of the stuff that we do from a knowledge perspective, but they will do it whether you learn it or not.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
you have the opportunity to be ahead of this and learn how to use it. So probably your job will change and it's not going to
Hmm.
be what you're doing right now and it's going to be other stuff, but you'll get to keep a job.
Yes.
Probably not what you're doing now. And if you don't learn, then there is no parachute, right? You're jumping off the
Right.
plane and hoping for the best. And so, in the short while, by the way, if you are on the edge of this, you'll be able to be more productive and do a lot more things than your colleagues or other companies. And the last misconception is that, and that's a big one that I see a lot of companies, and they come to me, say, okay, what licenses should we get? Should I get like OpenAI or Claude or Gemini or Microsoft Copilot? And it doesn't matter. What you need to figure out is the training and the use cases, because
Hmm.
most of the use cases will be fairly successful if your people knows how to use the tech, and it matters very little which tech you're going to pick. And yes, there's
Yeah.
specific use cases where this tech or the other is going to do a better job, but
Hmm.
the big picture is the first thing you got to figure out is training, which will then allow people to make educated decision on what use cases are relevant, and then pick the tech versus, okay, should we buy Copilot? I don't know. What are you trying
Yeah,
to achieve?
exactly.
Yeah.
You
So
kind
these
of need
are
to know what you're wanting to do before you can pick your tools.
these are the biggest misconceptions that I
Yeah,
see
that's great
regularly.
advice. And could you explain what change management is and the role it plays in the successful AI implementation? And how does Multiply support companies in effectively managing this aspect during their AI journey?
That's an awesome question. We have what, 4 hours to answer this? Like how
Yep.
long? How long? How
Go as
long
long
can
as
we
you
go?
need to.
I'll try to give you the 5 minute version.
Okay.
So I think, as I just mentioned in the previous question, I think change management is the most critical aspect of all of this, right?
Hmm.
At the end of the day, a successful AI implementation has to do with people using it
Yes.
successfully. This means that you have to set the right things in place in order for it to be successful. And
Mm.
I will say a few things about that. The first thing has to do with success factors. The number one success factor that I see, I've never seen any research about it, but I worked
Hmm.
through the courses that I've been teaching and through the workshops that I'm doing in companies and through consulting and speaking at conferences. Like I get to speak to hundreds of business leaders about AI regularly.
Hmm.
The number one factor for success is leadership buy in.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you have the leaders in the organization really want this to be successful and they personally are vested in this. Like they're going to learn, they're going to take a course, they're going to figure it out, they're going to deploy tools, they're going to drive it in their company, it's going to be successful. And if you don't have people in leadership buy in, it's not going to be successful, at least at a company level.
Hmm.
Some particular individuals might do cool stuff, but then it's going to be uncontrolled and not scaled.
Yeah.
So, what do you do? You asked me, like, what does Multiply do?
Hmm.
So, the first thing is we provide training. We
Okay.
do custom workshops for company. We teach courses for companies and individuals that will teach the different level of people what they need to know in order to start having the more educated conversations. The second thing we help companies do is start an AI committee. An AI committee is a group of people that is, and again, I'm the 5 minute version because this is like a 2 hour lesson just on the committee itself, but you want people from every department in the company. So
Mhm.
a person from HR, finance, marketing, sales, operations, whatever departments you have in your company, for several different reasons. But the two biggest reasons is you want to hear everybody's voices to understand what the
Mhm.
needs are, and you want a champion in each department that will keep on pushing it. So we work with companies to establish that. And then the third thing, and the list actually has 8 items, the process, but the third big thing is encourage AI usage.
Yeah.
And you encourage AI usage, first of all, within defined boundaries. So the committee, the first thing the committee needs to do is define guidelines, do's and don'ts, guardrails, whatever you want to call them. That's the first thing the committee does. But then you want to encourage AI usage. How do you encourage AI usage in a company? You talk about this from the leadership level. Every time there's a all hands, every time there's a departmental meeting, every time there's a topic that happens, you bring AI as one of the topics. You
Mhm.
share success stories. Look at Gina from HR. She's now doing this and that. Look at Jim
Mhm.
from marketing. He's doing this and that. Gamify it. Give people a
Oh,
PTO. Give people tickets to the theater. Give people whatever, something to the person that was able to save this month the most amount of time using AI.
I
And then
love
people
that.
share cool use cases and everybody competes with it. There's multiple ways to make it the talk of the day in a company in a very
Mhm.
positive spin that everybody wants to participate in it because A, you get a pat on the shoulder and the accolades from the CEO or whoever, and B, you're actually going to gain something practical, like again,
Yeah,
either a PTO or a check or whatever it is. So these are the three main things: education, AI committee, and encourage adoption.
I love that. Such great ideas. And you mentioned you teach some courses and you speak at different events. What are some of the courses, or what's a course that's coming up that you can tell us about? You've done.
I'm glad you asked.
Mhm.
So there's really three different kinds of training that I do. The main one that I've been doing since April of 2023, at least once a month, in many months, twice a month,
Mhm.
is the AI Business Transformation course. So the
Okay.
AI Business Transformation course is built for business leaders, but individuals who are not leaders can also take it and benefit a lot from it. But there's a lot of
Mhm.
discussion on business strategy as well. And some of the things we just talked about, right? So
Mhm.
how do you build a committee and how do you do the evaluations and all these kind of things. But it also touches on the very basics, like what is this
Mhm.
technology, what is it not, what to be afraid of, what to pay attention to, how to set things up, how to prompt properly, what tools exist, what purposes they serve, what kind of use cases you can use it for, with a lot of hands-on stuff. So it's a great mix of, like I said in the beginning, the tactical and the strategy, to
Mhm.
help people really know what they need to know to get started in their business. The next course starts on the next public
Mhm.
course starts on November 18th. It
Oh, okay.
happens every Monday at noon to 2 p.m. Eastern. So you
Mhm.
can take a longer lunch break and join the course.
Nice.
And it's 4 weeks. So it's total of 8 hours. In between, there's all the office hours where I show up every week and people come and ask questions. And there's a lot of people who keep on coming now a year later still to the office hours. And we have
Yes.
these conversations about it. So it's really, really cool. It's now this little community of people who took the course who talk about AI implementation in their businesses. So that's the course. Most of the courses that I teach are private. So
Okay.
most of the courses happen to be either a company or a consortia or an organization that brings me in to teach their people. And then we just teach
Mhm.
them. So the public courses usually happen about once a quarter when I don't have something else happening in parallel, which happens to be now. The next one will probably be roughly February, March, which is the next time that I won't have anything specific. So that's the
Nice.
courses. The workshops are company tailored workshops. So I
Mhm.
come in and I learn about the company and what are the needs. And these either happen on Zoom and then they could be 2, 3, 4 hours, or happen in person, which is my favorite thing. And then we usually
Mhm.
do them for 2 days, where we do the first day more introduction and learning on specific use cases and tools. And then the second day, we usually do a hackathon where we break people into groups in
Mm.
advance, plan to specific use cases. And then together they're working on the specific use cases based on the stuff they learned. I move between the groups and we usually get to really cool results. And people feel a lot more comfortable after that continuing because they've already started and they have something working and they see the results and there's
Yeah.
excitement in the company. So these workshops are really great. And the third thing is I help to a short list of companies with actual implementation where I
Mm.
come in and do the consulting side of it as well. Thank you
So
for asking, by the way. It's
oh,
a
yeah, for sure. Between the company workshops and then the public facing course, it seems like it's just a good time to educate yourself and take advantage of these things and get a head start over your competitors. So it just seems like a
absolute.
powerful course that everybody could take advantage of. And
I
with your
I strongly agree.
yeah, and with your experience in B2B and B2C and all the different industries, how does Multiply tailor AI solutions to address the unique challenges and specific needs of each industry?
Yeah, I would say it's beyond industry. Yes, there's industry specific stuff. If you look
Okay.
to industries that are more regulated, like finance or
Mm,
legal or healthcare with HIPAA and whatever thing, or defense, there's usually the industry stuff is more data security oriented than AI
okay.
oriented. That's usually like the
Hmm.
biggest thing. But between every company to every other company, there are huge differences. Between departments in the same company, there are big
Yeah.
differences. And the differences come from multiple aspects. Think about what is it that you're trying to implement? How well is the data that they have? So usually AI works very well if you give it the right data. Well, you
Hmm.
may have a HR department that is very organized and have everything documented and they have folders and everything is structured with naming conventions and you can use that very quickly to do things. But the marketing department has 7 different places where they save information. They have a
Hmm.
CRM and they have a task management platform like Asana or Monday or one on Notion. And they have a Google Drive and they also have a Dropbox that exists for the last 5 years, and some of the stuff is there.
Right.
And and every one of the people is doing it slightly differently than the other people.
Hmm.
And so even between departments, you get a huge variation between how and what they can start implementing just because they have different needs and different data and different level of knowledge. And so when we tailor the workshops, they're very much tailored to, okay, let's have a few conversations with the different groups. And we either do, that's why I said a lot of the online stuff is usually one
Hmm.
department. So then we can
Mm.
focus on, okay, let's work with the salespeople for 4 hours. And I work with them in advance. Let's learn what they have, what they don't have, what tools they currently use, what information they currently have, what are they struggling with, what tedious work they hate to do, all these kind of
Yeah.
things. And then we figure out what should be the training and we build the training and we deliver that usually online. And then this can roll on for the next 6 months, right? Keep on
Mhm.
rotating between the different departments and things like that. It's a lot more than different industries. It's really specific needs of specific groups within the company that
Mhm.
should get different kind of training.
Yes, I think that's important, like you were mentioning, because the custom tailored solutions are going to impact the businesses more than just generic, oh, use ChatGPT or whatever. I think you're right. I think it is really important to have those tailored strategies for each department, even.
Yeah, as we mentioned before, at the end, it's down to the use case, right? The
Yes.
tech doesn't matter. It matters what is it that this can solve
Hmm.
effectively that people can learn within a relatively small hill to climb, and that will be valuable to the business. And when I say valuable to the business, it means in my dictionary, one of three things. It either increases the top line, increases the bottom line, meaning it reduces expenses or makes stuff more efficient, or it makes your employees happier
Yeah.
by reducing tedious, unnecessary work that nobody likes to do. And so
Right.
if you can do all of the above, awesome. If you can do one of them, great.
That's so important. And speaking about implementation, could you share a recent success story where AI had a transformative impact on a business?
Yeah, there's so many. Again, I think some of them are more on the tactical level, some of them are more on the strategy level. And I work with a
Mm-hmm.
pretty big variety of businesses. I think on the tactical level, it's really on every single department. You want some specific examples? I can think of a few. So data analysis is huge. Most companies, the vast majority of companies, do pretty well with quantitative data analysis, right?
Okay.
Because the tools we use give it to us. If you're
Right.
using a sales tool, it has some kind of a funnel showing you where people are and what percentage and how many calls you've done and how many meetings you had and how many you converted and what you have in your pipeline.
Hmm.
If you are in marketing, you have marketing funnels and you have budgets and conversions and ROAS and all the others, like all those parameters. If you're in finance, you have. So most of the tools we use today have quantitative evaluations built into them. They're not perfect. They have gaps. There's things they don't answer. But even then, usually you can export to CSV. And if you're an Excel whiz or somebody in your company is, then you can figure it out. Qualitative data analysis is something that we couldn't do, period, unless you're a
Mm-hmm.
really big company and then you would hire like a McKinsey or a PwC or somebody like that to
Gotcha.
do customer sentiment analysis.
Okay.
Or let's analyze all of the history of the last 2 years of our customer service inquiries and see how are we doing. This is really, really hard to do. Now, AI is amazing at doing that. So one of the things I'm working with several of my companies is analyzing customer reviews from online.
Oh.
So if you're a software company, go to G2. If you are selling goods, go to Amazon. If you're
Hmm.
just a regular business, local business doing service, go to Google reviews, like
Hmm.
Google My Business kind of thing, and see how many stars and what reviews you're getting. And you can scrape all of that information, load it into specific AI tools, and learn a lot about what people think about your business.
I love that idea.
And so it literally changes the wording on your website, the way you communicate with your clients, the way you publish your goods on Amazon. Like you can really solve for the biggest problems your customers have if you have a way to somehow categorize them and aggregate them and analyze them, which was not
Yeah.
possible before. So this is a big one that I do with several different businesses, again, across different industries. And it's a gold mine of information.
Yeah.
Like I said, you could do the same thing with customer service. You can do the same thing with sales. So
Hmm.
take all your sales calls that hopefully are recorded. If they're not, start recording them. Start recording your calls because now you can transcribe them and you can analyze which calls are working, which are not working. Why? What do they have in common? And so all these things are possible. So this is a big one. Another huge one is sales pipeline. Today, there's these tools that combine automation with AI, with access to multiple data sources that can do magic for your sales pipeline. So you can literally find, without doing anything, without them filling up a form, about 30 to 40% of the emails of the people who visit your website without doing anything. They clicked on the website, you can have one in every three people. You
Hmm.
can then go and research who these people are, which company they work for, which role do they hold, how many people do they manage, how many people are in their company, how big is their company, which industry they're in. without doing anything. Like all of that happens like a great salesperson, but it happens automatically while you sleep. So when you wake
Nice.
up in the morning, you have a list of just people from your ICP, from your ideal client persona, the people who are your actual
Hmm.
target customers, with an email address, with an initial email draft, with an initial approach on LinkedIn, based on all the information that this tool found about them, while you did nothing about this and you didn't have to go and find them and qualifying them and so on. So a
Wow.
lot of the work that salespeople traditionally had to do can be done quasi automatically
Yeah.
and get you a huge amount of value with almost no effort. And so
Wow.
that's another great example. Content generation is obvious, but one of my favorites is video content generation. So again,
Mm-hmm.
there's multiple tools today that allow you to go from an idea to a video. And this could be a video about a product, a video about an atmosphere you're trying to create, or a storyline that you're trying to create, or people. Actually, like talking heads, avatars, they're getting very
Mm-hmm.
realistic. And so, whether you want to use these avatars for marketing or for internal training or for customer relations or whatever the case may be, you can do that today for almost free. So, if
Yeah.
you want to shoot a video that talks about your new product launch, and you historically hired a speaker that is a professional speaker because they won't say and 20 times every sentence,
Right.
and you're going to hire a studio and you're going to hire a photographer and a videographer and you're going to run the whole photo shoot and then you're going to edit it, you can do it now with one prompt and it's going to take you about 60 seconds.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah.
if your CEO doesn't like it, it doesn't take another 3 weeks and another $15,000. It takes
Right.
another 60 seconds.
Exactly.
And so all these are huge gains that a company can gain that were literally not possible 2 years
Mhm.
ago that any company can do right now.
That's true. Those are great examples
I
of
have
AI.
enough people I work with to get a lot
Yeah.
of ideas.
And before we wrap up, I'd like to ask a couple of lighter questions so our audience can get to know you a little better. When
Sure.
you do step away from your work, what are some activities or hobbies that you're passionate about?
Oh. So first of all, I'm a father for three kids, and I
Mm.
love playing with my kids, and they love me
Hmm.
playing with them. So we would go and play basketball or soccer or play board games. We do a lot of board games, or even just FIFA on the Xbox,
Mm.
like whatever the activity that they're doing at that moment, I will usually just join them. So that's usually my afternoon stuff. I'm completely addicted to pickleball. So I play
Mm.
pickleball about 3 times a week, usually early mornings. Like I would send the kids to school and I would go and play and then come do an ice bath at the gym and then come back to the office. So that's another thing that I do. I play soccer every now and then. Yeah, that's about it. Walk my dog.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
dog person. A beautiful pooch called Mocha. And so
Nice.
that's another, especially now. So I live in Florida. So this time
Oh,
of year,
yeah.
it's starting to being nice again. And
Yeah.
it's the time of year that reminds us why we live in Florida because it's
Right.
after 6 months of hot, sticky humidity. And now it's, oh, this is really nice. And it's going to be this way until May. So I really now enjoy walking the dog as well.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like fun. And for those who are just getting started in AI, what key advice would you offer to help them navigate the early stages of AI integration?
That's an awesome question.
Mhm.
The simple answer is get started. The
Yes.
slightly longer answer is think about tedious tasks that you do regularly and go and Google or go to Perplexity if you're like me, which is those of you who don't know Perplexity, it's like the if Google and ChatGPT had a baby, that's kind of
Yeah.
what you're gonna get. So I use Perplexity now way more than I use Google. But look for a search tool and search how to do this thing that you don't like doing or that you want to do faster. How do I do this thing with AI tools? And it's gonna get you 20 different articles and 60 different YouTube videos. Pick a
Mhm.
few, find a way to do this that sounds not too complicated and that can fit your level of comfort.
Yeah. Mhm.
Get the tool. So even if the tool costs $15 a month or 20 bucks a month, or God forbid, $100 a month, pay for
Mhm.
the tool. Because
Yes.
if for $100, it's going to save you 3 hours a week, it's worth
Yeah,
every penny.
it
Most of them
is.
cost $15 to $20. So pay for the tool. So many people come to, should I start paying? I'm like, what? Like ChatGPT. I'm like, it's literally the best $20 anybody ever
Yeah,
spent on anything ever.
I
Ever.
agree.
There was never something with better ROI than spending $20 on ChatGPT. And so, yes, pay for the tool and learn how to do this one thing.
Yeah.
And then look for the next and then look for the next, and then look for the next. And many of them could be the same tool. So if you're going for one of the more generalized tools like Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, you can do a lot of stuff with them that is not just this one use case. But there
Mhm.
are cases where they're custom tools for specific things that will just do the job better. And
Mhm.
usually it's worthwhile if you found the right tool and you find somebody to show you how to do it, which again, these people, if you go to my podcast, there's one every week. Like
Nice.
literally every single week, there's an example from somebody sharing how they're doing something. And then just do it because
Mhm.
watching people, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube is not going to get you anywhere. Like you
Right.
actually have to get your hands dirty, learn
Mhm.
yourself, figure it out, run through a few walls, bang your head against the wall, figure it out, and like, oh my God, it's working. And like I said, don't get frustrated after the first 20 minutes when it doesn't work. Invest the time to make it work. Once it works, look for the next use case and the next use case. Because what happens is then you develop this lens that now I have and a lot of people taking my courses have. That's how I view every single thing in my business right now. That's how I
Mhm.
view every problem I ran into. Can I use AI to solve it? And I mentioned my kids.
Yeah.
I'm doing this with them as well.
Oh, cool.
How do you work on this problem? How do you solve this homework? How do you write letters for college in a better way? How do you evaluate different opportunities that you have in front of you for different projects that the school is allowing you to do? How do you pick the right after school activity because there's only X number of hours in a day and you got to pick one or six in my kid's example, but
Mhm.
you still got to pick.
Yeah.
And so, how do you pick? And so I'm working with them all the time to show them how to use these tools so
Mhm.
they can start thinking through that lens of everything we do. Can AI help us do it better, faster, cheaper?
Exactly. And to always be asking those questions too. I think that's important because like you said, you need to get your hands dirty. You need to learn how to use those tools. And yes, it's going to take a little longer up front, but the more you use it, the better you'll be and the quicker it'll be. And if you can get in the habit of asking those questions all the time and go to ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity, it's weird. It gives you feedback that you hadn't thought about before, and it does help you make better decisions. It's kinda like
Absolutely.
having somebody to bounce an idea off of. It's great.
Absolutely. It's the
Mhm.
ultimate free consultant.
Yes. It's great advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Isar, for joining us today and sharing your insights. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and learning more about your work at Multiply. And the insights are just so valuable for all business leaders. They should definitely take your course. So if you're interested in signing up for the AI Business Transformation course that starts on the 18th of November, be sure to sign up at multiply.ai/AI-course. And Isar is giving all of our news audience $100 off the price of that course. You just need to enter the code AINews100 and you get $100 off that course. So definitely sign up for that today. And to learn more about Multiply, you can visit their website at multiply.ai. And you can also subscribe to his Leveraging AI podcast on the website, multiply.ai/podcast.
I'll say one thing for everybody who's listening. While you're at it and you're looking for my podcast on your podcasting platform and you're on this podcast already on AI News, give a nice review to Alicia.
Aw,
She's investing a lot of time and working hard to get this podcast out there. It's not coming out of thin air. It's not AI. It's
right.
actually her.
That's
So
right.
your side of the equation is to give her a 5-star rating, write a nice review of why you're listening to this podcast because it's going to help her reach more people and she definitely deserves it.
Oh, that's fabulous. Thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Keeping you connected to tomorrow. Today, this is Alicia with AInews.com.